Good morning, Besta. How are you? Always look for your name to be popping up first. Hi, Linda. How is everybody? It's raining here in Toledo. We got some really good rain last night, which was great for the lawn and for the flowers. But it's still raining now, and I guess we're supposed to have it all day. So the last 2 days we've hit almost 90 degrees. And today we're going to be lucky to get 70. So it's like back to the jeans and, you know, like that fall weather clothing, when yesterday we were in our summer attire. So I hope everything weather-wise is good in your neck of the woods. And thank you for being here. So let's see who's all jumping in. Melinda's here, and Tina, and Linda, and Sheila. Good morning. Of course, Besta. Let's see how many Lindas we can get today. So there's another Linda. It's so funny. It's like our most popular name for our Thursday mystery quilt card live. So welcome everybody. A little bit of Stampin' Up news. You know, the BOGO sale is going on right now. The other day, I was so, right before it started, I was so happy to have kind of landed on a video that Jackie Bolheis did for Facebook explaining how to maneuver around the BOGO, because for me, I was thinking, you know, buy one, get one free. I was looking at it in a different way. And when she explained that you're going to want to keep your like-priced things together and start a second order for anything that's cheaper, because I thought like if you got a bundle, you would get a bundle and you could have other things in your cart. But they're taking 50% off the lowest priced item in your cart. So thank you, Jackie, for helping us understand that, you know, if you want to get the most of your 50% off, keep like-priced items on one order. So maybe embellishments and paper on one order, bundles, sweets in another order, so that you get the best discount. So thank you, Jackie, for sharing that, because I hadn't thought it all through. And she did that for us, so we appreciate it. And let's see, the Last Chance store, or I don't know, what do you want to call it? The Last Chance product has been updated, so there's some new things on there. Let's see, we got BOGO. The Last Chance cart has been updated. What am I forgetting? I just kind of lost my train of thought there for Stampin' Up. But those are some of the things that are happening. Also, you can still register for our Card Play Summer Online Retreat with me, Karen, Holly, Barb, and Julie. So you can still register for that, and you can still get a make and take. We're getting close to the cutoff line that I would have to place another order once I run out of the supply that I had ordered of the designer series paper, the embellishments, the ribbon, all from the beautiful gallery that you would get with that option. So if that's an option that you're looking at, then please register sooner than later so that I can look at my inventory, and if I need to make another order, I can get that in, and you can get your packet in time for Card Play, which is the 27th and 28th, I believe, of June. Hi, Aileen, how are you? Hi, Holly. So I am going to flip the camera around and we'll get started. I hope you stick around after the card is made, because I have a quilt that I want to show you, and just a few other things that I would like to talk about. So I'm going to flip the camera around. Everybody say good morning to each other and we'll get started. I gotta find my camera. There we go. Okay, so let me get situated a little bit differently here on my desk. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna move the mount here. And I think I want to come in just a little more. Okay, so far that seems to look good. We didn't need a wide angle of my desk, which, by the way, is rather tidy. So I wouldn't have been too embarrassed if it really had done a really wide angle. So, hi Susan. And Louise is here. There's another Linda. There's Sherry and Sandy, Sharon, Pam, Kathy. Wow, Dawn, hello. Everybody, thank you for being here. Okay, so the product that I'm highlighting is the Designer Series paper from Florals in Bloom. It is part of a suite, but I'm not using any stamps or dies. The layout that I chose pretty much fills up the card base, and there is room if you want to put a sentiment. I just was undecided about that, so I have left mine just like blank note cards. You can stamp a sentiment and add it to your cards. You can also stamp something on the inside that would speak to the reason why you mailed the card. If you want to keep the front of your card just the quilt block, like I did, okay? So really the only star of the show is the quilt block, and made from this Designer Series paper. So when I posted the prep, it was like, okay, what do I tell them first to look at? With, you know, because it's a mystery. I can't, you know, I could, but I didn't want to just totally give it away. So the first thing I suggested was to pick a multicolored piece of Designer Series paper. And this is the paper that I went with. And we're going to pull some colors from it, but I don't want you to pull the colors looking at the whole 12 by 12. Because the pieces that are going to be behind our quilt block and the pieces that you're going to see, those are the colors that you're going to want to pull in. So this was the inspiration, and there are lots of colors to choose from right here, for sure. But once you cut it down into smaller pieces, you can see what colors are actually popping out. Hi, Linda. Another Linda. Hi, Jasmine and Dorothy. Hey, Julie. Okay, so, and what I mean by that, what I was just talking about, is when I cut my two pieces that are 1 7/8 by, I believe 1 7/8. Hold on, let's see here. I don't have like a cheat sheet in front of me to see. No, 1 3/8. 1 3/8 by 4 3/4. Yeah, 1 3/8 by 4 3/4. When you get a smaller piece, you'll have a better idea of what colors are showing. Okay, so then I'm looking at the colors, and you know, I settled on like 3 or 4 colors, and I did go to another pack of Designer Series paper for something a little richer. I wanted something a little darker, something more in Blackberry Bliss, as something that really had strong contrast. So this is from the 6x6 Neutrals Designer Series paper. So I did have to go looking at other Designer Series paper, but that's okay. when we can mix and match our papers, that gives us so many more possibilities. So I did that. So what I went with was, I went with a Blackberry Bliss. And then I was looking within the designer series paper. I had a lot of colors to work with. I didn't really have to go looking in another pack. So I used the B side of another piece of paper, which brought out like this shades of cloud cover. And then this is also in the same Florals and Bloom paper pack. And I thought it brought in the Petunia Pop, Fresh Freesia, even going into Bubble Bath there. So I brought that out. And then I have, oh shoot, hold on, I gotta look at one of my cheats. Okay, I'm good. Then I wanted to bring in a green, okay? And so within that designer series paper pack is this Granny Apple Green. We've got the Summer Splash, and what's the other one? Summer Splash, Shy Shamrock. So this tied in all Garden Green. This piece of green really tied in a lot of other colors. Now I needed a focal piece of designer series paper, and again I went with that Blackberry Bliss because it is so bold against anything that's behind it. You'll notice that my 3 strips here are more on the lighter side, lights and mediums. So this darker color really pops on the rest of the paper. So that's an explanation on getting started on and how you want to choose your colors. You might have been looking at something totally different. Maybe you were really eyeballing the Secret Sea and cloud cover in these little like hyacinths, and when you chopped it up and got your pieces, there's not really a lot there. So look at what colors are popping up on a smaller scale. We have a 2 1/4 inch square that we're actually going to use as a foundation. So I've got basic white, but you can use any color because it's going to get covered up. You can choose your background layer or your frame after you see your quilt block, but you know what? You never can go wrong with just basic white. So my frame is going to be in basic white. And then I have a couple more layers here. And I am going to, this is going to be like a backdrop. And I just went with the piece of Secret Sea that's in the paper pack. And I'm going to layer it on a piece of cardstock that is Secret Sea. So another bold color that will separate, you'll see that it's going to separate your eye from the quilt block, what you got going on in the background. That way it doesn't look like it's all kind of muddied together. Okay, you'll see how I was thinking as we go. And then I have a card base and a layer for the card front that I finally decided on, but we'll talk about that as we are getting closer to that. Again, it was one of those things in my design. I wasn't really sure what color I wanted to go with for the card base and such, because I thought, I think I really want to see where the design is taking me and what colors I want to use. Okay, enough talking. We are going to be cutting together. So, you might want to be taking some notes. There will be a PDF and there will be a scanned document within that gives you all your measurements, but you're going to see that you don't always want to pre-cut because of your cutting. You want a little leeway, so we're going to cut as we go. Okay, so let's get everything we don't need out of here. We're going to need that. For right now, we don't need any of this stuff. That is later. All we want is our 2 1/4 inch foundation. We want our strips. We'll need our trimmer and an adhesive, and I'm going to use my fine tip glue, which's got Tombow in there. How do I want to do this? Okay. It's like, where do I want these pieces to go so that I know what I'm doing? Okay, so let's bring in our trimmer. See if you can see that real well. We need to find our middle on this square. So we're going to do a couple of score lines, and then that's going to tell me where my middle is. I think I want to come in a little bit more. Hi, Louise. But now I need to bring my trimmer down. There we go. But it's going to be pointing right into my belly, but we'll make it work. Okay. Hi, Lori. Hi, Barb, and hi, Becky. Hi, Suzanne. Okay, good morning. So let's find our middle. I know where it is. I'm going to tell you what to do to find it. Okay, so we're going to score it, or you can use a pencil, but I'm going to score at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch, and I know you probably can't see that on white, but it is scored at 3/4 of an inch. Now I want to turn it one time, and I'm going to score again at 3/4 of an inch. So I don't want to score across from each other. I want it to be on a side that connects to the one I just did. So just turn it so you go around the corner and score at 3/4 of an inch. Okay? And I know this is going to be hard to see, but okay, let's see here. See where our intersection of those two score lines is? This right here is our center. Okay? There was no sense in just keep creating score lines. I just need to know generally where I need to go, and that is like right there. Okay? Alrighty. So let's get started. And that 3/4 inch square of Designer Series paper, it's going to go right up into that corner like that. Okay? So you can go ahead and glue your square, and it is going to be right in the center of your foundation piece. Okay, let's get that. I want to see all my score lines just to make sure that I'm in there. Okay, so there is the first step. Now, you're going to want to take your strips, and I love that I've got 4 strips that are very different from each other. So nothing's going to look like it bleeds into the next strip that will be going beside it. Okay? So, I just got to decide which one I want to use. I'm going to go with this one right here. Excuse me. Going to bring in my trimmer. All of these strips are 3/8 of an inch wide. And I just went with the 6-inch length. You will have some pieces left over, and if you want to make another block, you may be able to get some of them from your scraps, okay? So this needs to be 3/8 of an inch, which it is, and we're going to cut a 3/4 inch length. it'll be good if you've got a little ruler with you to make sure that you're at 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to be measuring periodically through the process, because every time we cut a piece of paper, we might have made it a little shorter, made it a little longer. And so if you want to keep everything straight, we're going to have to measure every now and then make some adjustments. So I need to cut this at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And this is we're going to be like working around this square counterclockwise. Okay? Just think counterclockwise. I would show you the graph that I created, but then it gives the mystery away, and I don't want to do that yet. So this piece is going to get glued right underneath that square that's in the middle. And I did pretty good job of making sure it was 3/4 of an inch, and it goes from one edge to the other side. Now you can, as we go, you'll see that I'll probably have to, you know, make some things work, because it's just natural that we can't be perfect cutters every single time. We can try, but somewhere along the line we might get off just a hair, you know, so we need to make those adjustments. So now if I'm working counterclockwise around this center, I'm going to take a 3/8 of an inch strip, but I need to know how long this is. I know that it's 1 1/8, but if you measure, yeah, about 1 1/8. That way, when you go to your trimmer, you know if you need to make a slight hair adjustment. Do I need to be a slight bit over, under, whatever. But now I got to think of another piece that I want to put next to that one. I think I'm going to go with the green. So I'm going to cut this at 1 1/8. I'm going to come down here where it's easier for me to cut. And that should be very close. Oh, I'm a hair short. Okay. I'm going to kind of go in, even it out a little bit, because my last strip here will probably catch where I'm off a little bit, or it's just paper. Let's go just a hair over. This is just tiny pieces of paper. I mean, why? Once you start fussing, you're going to be fussing all the time. Much better. That is much better. So I'm going to go with that. And we're going to glue that right next to those two pieces. And if this is a smidge off, it's a lot easier to even it out on both ends and know that it's going to get, it's workable than a lot. Okay, so there is that. Do I need to come in a little bit more? Oh, how did I get out? Okay, how's that? Hey Doris, good morning. And Dorothy. Hey Marilyn and Lynn. Woohoo, thank you for being here. Okay, so we just barely got started. Now, as we're working counterclockwise, so we went 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is going to go up here. And again, you want to measure how long that is so that you can cut your next piece. You can pre-cut all of these, but I hope that you're really, really good at cutting perfectly every single time. Or like I'm doing here, I'm finding that I am cutting over again. So that's 1 1/8. And I will bring in that document that I'm going to scan so you guys can screenshot it, but not yet. So 1 1/8. That's pretty darn good, Julie. I'm happy with that one. Okay, so we can put this one on. Can anybody guess what block this is? I took some artistic liberty with the traditional pattern because it would have been really hard to teach traditionally. You would have been searching all over for lots of paper, and simplifying it like this makes it so much easier. Yes, Melinda got it. It's a log cabin. So now that you know what block it is, let me share why we're doing the log cabin. When I did the Barn Quilt Facebook Live, Paulette had asked if I had ever done a log cabin block. And I told her I did. In fact, it was early on in the kits that we did it. But this is the log cabin block that we did. And traditionally, you keep your lights on one side and your darks on the other side. My thing when I was trying to make the prototype is I was like going to several different paper packs trying to find all light colors, and it was really stressing me out. So another part of the equation is Doris. Doris has like been channeling me several times this week, and she didn't even know it. But she sends me a pattern in an email of a log cabin block. And I'm like, okay, we're supposed to be doing a log cabin. Paulette asked about it. Doris just out of the blue sends me a pattern. We're going to do it. So thank you, Paulette, for asking about this block. And thank you, Doris, for knowing it's just what I needed. But as I said, the pattern has been simplified. When I show you my quilt, I will show you how the pattern is a little different, because that 26 years ago, that's how I saw the log cabin pattern done. But enough of that. Let's get back to what we're doing. Just a little backstory on everything. So what is a color that I haven't... So I'm using these. I really don't want to bring in my purple and have it right next to that center. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to bring in the green again and put it across there. So you've got a lot of choices that you need to be thinking about when you're placing your colors. So now I need to know how long this is, and it's 1.5 inches in length. So I'm going to take that green and I'm going to cut it at 1.5. And it's going to go right here. I don't want two of the same colors next to each other, so I'm just going to bring this green over. And I am just a hair off, but we're going to be okay. If it's a hair, I'll just make sure it's a hair on both ends, because I've done this block so many times, I know I'm going to be okay with my last piece. Okay. And I want you to stick around because I want to show you all the different papers that I used from that pack and how different the blocks look using different papers. So I've got some samples to show you. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now number 6 is going to be as long as this here, but it's actually, I already know it's 1.5 because it was the same length as the one we did before. So I think I'll bring, you know what, we might be able to now bring this one in. Yeah, we can bring this one in since I have a separation. So let's do 1.5. I thought this was going to be the easiest block in the world to teach you. And then there was just so much to think about. And I made a phone call to Doris, and it's like, you know, just brainstorm with me. and so she agreed, yes, you can take artistic liberties with this block, which made it a lot more fun to keep going. So now this strip here, I'm not going to put it right up there and then have to trim off any. I am going to keep, I know that my foundation is square. So I am just going to glue this right on top, leave, you know, using the edge of my foundation. Yes, it will overlap a little bit the logs that I've already done, but it's okay. Once I quilt this, it's all going to blend into each other. But I want to keep, I'm going to use the outside of my foundation to my advantage. So I don't want to bring out the snips and have to worry about cutting straight, even though I'm using the edge of my foundation piece to guide my snips. Sometimes I catch the foundation also. So I'm just going to even that out. And see how I kept it within the foundation? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now 7 is going to be however long this is, and it should be 1 7/8, and it is. So 1 7/8. What do I want to use? I think I'm going 1 7/8. What do I want to use? I don't want that one. Maybe it's going to be this cloud cover because it's separated by that. So 1 7/8. And this is a little fussy, you guys, but it would be really easy just to pre-cut everything. I get that, but you really want to be able to measure, because if you're too short, you know, then you're just cutting another piece like I did in the beginning. So cutting as you go, and again, I'm going to lay this right over the top of anything that I've done. I'm going to get it right in the corner here. Okay. And this is going to be 1 7/8 also. So, now I can I'll bring in this purple again. So 1 7/8. I just love this Blackberry Bliss Designer Series paper in that Neutrals packet. Blackberry Bliss has always been one of my favorite colors in the Stampin' Up! World. If they ever get rid of it, I will cry. Okay, now we have this side that's left, and I can just go ahead and put my glue, and I don't even really have to measure this one unless I've got a shorter piece and I want to make sure it works. It needs to be 2 1/4 inches long, but I can just go ahead and put this on there, and then I'll just trim it off. So the artistic version of the log cabin is we are not keeping lights on one side, darks on the other. We are opening it up to use multicolors, but we're putting it together the same way as you would the traditional block. So these are my extra pieces. Make yourself another block. And there is your log cabin. Again, have I been out of camera? Oh my goodness. I hope not. Hold on. So hard to keep up with in camera, not in camera. I was thinking that the top piece you just put on should have gone all the way to the edge. I did, Dorothy, I don't know where in the comments I might have missed your question, but I am all the way out to the corners. There's nothing hanging off the back of my foundation. So as far as piecing the log cabin, we did do it traditional. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 9 strips. The only thing we did differently is we don't have half light and half dark over here. Okay, so that's what we did. The darker piece at the top. It's all the way. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, you're saying just put it all the way to the end, and then you would just layer this next one up. Is that what you mean? Because actually, I did that on one of my other blocks, and it, by the time I quilted it, you couldn't tell that there was like a double layer of designer series paper under there. So however this block works for you in the piecing, do whatever is easy for you. Okay? So, oh good. Thanks, Sharon. And Lori says, at first I wasn't sure about the colors. That is the fun part of it, Lori. It's like, you just don't know until you've got it done. And when I show you the bonus cards that I did, I hated, no, hate's a strong word. I wasn't happy with my colors when I was playing around coming up with something. What am I going to show you that I like? But once I went back to them and pulled out paper that worked with them, I liked them better than the purples. So just wait and see. I'll show you what I did. But I went back and used them. They were going in the garbage. And I'm glad I didn't, because I got 3 more cards out of those 3 blocks. So don't give up on your block until, just don't give up on it. You may have to walk away and come back, but don't give up on it. Okay, so here's my block. Now I'm going to bring in the frame, which is that basic white. Before I layer these, though, I need to quilt this block. So I am going to use the eyelet embossing folder. And I'm going to step away for just a moment, but I'm going to quilt this block real quick. And then we'll get to putting the rest of our card together, and then I can show you my other cards. And I want to show you my log cabin quilt so that I can talk about the quilt block a little bit more. Okay, so here I've done my quilting, and now I'm going to frame it. I chose to frame it in white just because nothing else really seemed to work. Come on, Facebook. Catch up. There we go. Okay. So there is my frame. So let's set that aside, and let's bring in our card base. I decided to go with, this should come as no surprise because Secret Sea is my favorite color. I chose Secret Sea. And then for a layer, I decided to bring in Bubble Bath. So what I did was I embossed a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of bubble bath cardstock. And before I put this down, we're going to do some layering, but this is going to be part of my background. And wow, does bubble bath almost look white on Facebook. Okay, and I am too big. Okay, so let's work with this piece here. I'm going to bring in those 2 strips of designer series paper, and what I want to do is I just want to offset them. I don't want them identical in there, so I'm going to put one up and then just bring down the other one a little lower. And I'm just kind of looking that there's even distance between them. Okay, so this is just a layered look. And we'll put these down. And you'll see, you should be noticing why I brought in a dark color as another layer to separate all the pattern and the colors that I have going on. You'll see that here shortly. Okay, I'm not gonna press that totally down yet. And if your paper is directional, make sure that it's going the direction that you want. And just want to make sure it's straight. It's going to be as Julie straight as possible. Okay, now I'll put them down. So I got another layer going on. I've got an emboss layer, and you really don't have to emboss, but I thought it added some texture. And so we've got that. Now, I think we'll go ahead and we're going to put this on the front of our card base. I'm hoping Paulette is watching, or she catches replay since she asked about a log cabin block. I know if I'm hoping that maybe she's a quilter to ask about that block in particular. But I'd like her to see a different little spin on it. Okay, just want to make sure my sides are down. Okay, so there's the front of our card. That beautiful Secret C border is really making things pop right now. So, do you see how that gets lost? You see how that gets lost in there? Well, we want our quilt block to pop. That's why I'm bringing in a darker color, and I'm bringing in the Secret C. So I want to, this is 2 3/4, and this is 2 1/2 square. So I'm going to layer this one. And we're going to set this on point behind our quilt block. So you see that I kind of have a cheat square here so that I know how to line things up. I'm going to put this square on point. I just figured out on my grid paper where it needed to be. All my points were on a line. And then I took the 2 1/2 inch frame for our quilt block and I traced it around there when I found the middle. So I'm going to know exactly where to place this to get a square and a square. But do you see how the dark color now is going to separate our quilt block from the background? Okay, so I know from my little grid here that I can lay some glue down here. And then I am just going to set this right within my pencil lines. Hopefully it's straight. And now I have my square in a square. And you can fuss with it, but don't fuss too much, because once that Tombow grabs, you're not going to be able to move it around. And then when I set this down on that background, the Secret C just helps separate. It separates all my layers, okay? And you can decide if you want it up higher or if you want it right in the middle. That's all up to you. I'm looking at these two sides that kind of equal. Okay, but I'm going to pop it up. So we're going to put some dimensionals on the back. These are really super sticky for whatever reason. I don't sometimes these come just like flying off of the waxy layer underneath, and today I'm really having to pull them off. Okay, so I know there's a lot of dimensionals on there, but I like my quilt blocks not to be sagging down. So I'm usually pretty generous with my dimensionals. Okay. And now just going to try and keep it straight. Okay. Needs to go over just a little bit. I am eyeballing that white frame, helping me to stay square. I want to come over a little bit more. Let me see here. No, bring it up a little bit. Okay, I know y'all, I'm fussing. Okay, it's going down. So there is my quilt card. I absolutely am crushing these flat pearls that are in both of the in colors. If you can be in love with an embellishment, this is what I'm crushing on right now, are these flat pearls. They're nice and shiny and they're flat. So I think I'm going to use last year's in colors, because what I want to do, I felt like the center, you know, the hearth in a log cabin, that center block, I was going to talk about it when I show my quilt, but usually that center square is red for the hearth, but also there were log cabin quilts made with a yellow center as light. But I just think that my hearth here is just like a little blase. So I'm going to put a pearl in the middle and then use a couple more pearls around my block. So I think I am going to go with Summer Splash. I'm going to put one right there in the center. And then over here to the side, I'm just going to put the other two sizes. Okay, so you get 3 different sizes with those pearls to work with. So there is my quilt card. All done. You got room for a sentiment if you want to put a sentiment on, but I just felt like I wanted the front to just stand alone. Okay. Marilyn, they're her favorite embellishments too right now. I just love them. I think Stampin' Up! Should make the embellishments there should be a regal, a subtle, a bright, and a neutral, all in those flat pearls. So that would be my suggestion to Stampin' Up! Is make them in all the colors, because they're nice and flat. They don't add this extra bulk. And looking at Facebook, you really can't see how pretty that Summer Splash embellishment is on there. Now for the inside, I just put a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white on the inside. And then on the back, instead of using designer series paper, I just took another piece of, I took a strip of the bubble bath and I embossed it just like I did the front. And now I've given texture and color to the back of the card. So I feel like I've got enough going on with the card that I'm happy with it. Okay. Bunny agrees. She's like, make them in, maybe, I think as a demonstrator, I think there's a place we can go on the demonstrator side of the website and make suggestions. So maybe it's called the sandbox, or it used to be anyway. Maybe if you're a demonstrator, maybe we all need to go in there and suggest that, and then maybe in the next catalog we will get our wish. Okay. So let me show you the other cards that I did. Okay. Let's see. Let's flip them over. I didn't want you to see them accidentally, so I had them upside down over here. So all of these cards were basically the same. I kept the Secret Sea background. I kept the card base the same. The things I changed out were the designer series paper and the background color. Okay, so there's the one we did today. Here's one that I did that is the same. This one is the same. Where I started and where I put the pieces is different. And then I used these gold gems that lay pretty flat too. And these are called Flower Accents. Really pretty, nice. The gold really popped, especially on that Blackberry Bliss. But I used those embellishments for that one. And then, let's move these up. And then I did a purple one, but I switched, I brought in the Granny Apple Green. Okay. And then I did a cloud cover. Now these two designer series papers are different. So using a different designer series paper gave me another option. But notice, oh, here I did bring out Blackberry Bliss from another paper pack. This is from the other floral, the new one. But these large pieces, this is all from that Florals in Bloom. But you can see just how different they all look by changing out the designer series paper and that background color right there. Okay, so those were my purples. Now when I started playing around, I was using different colors, and these are the blocks that were gonna go in the trash. But I saved them, and they're my favorite. So these 3 blocks, I wasn't really happy with the colors. I went with purples instead, but I went back to them and pulled out the designer series paper that went with those colors. And I actually, these are my favorites. And this is that Darling Duckling. I always want to call it Ugly Duckling. It's not my favorite yellow, but it's not ugly anymore. It's really growing on me, and I feel that it is darling in this instant. It's growing on me. It's not my favorite, and I don't know why I always want to go to ugly duckling, but it's not ugly. Okay, and I just kept using those pearls from both of those those packets there. So those were my yellows and oranges. And then we have our purples. But I am in love with this card. For all the overthinking I did, I love it. Thank you, Doris, for being there for me. But I just love these cards. So I can't wait to see what designer series papers that you pick and see what yours turned out like. I think this would make a good Christmas card. Think Christmas, other occasions. Now I'm going to let you take a screenshot of this sheet right here, but this is going to be in the PDF, okay? So it tells you the order to put the pieces. It's got what they should measure, how to find the center to put that first square, and just some other suggestions. So if you want to screenshot this, that's great, but it will be in the PDF also. And guess what, you guys? I am caught up with other deadlines that I was having to meet, so you're not going to wait so long for the PDF on this live, okay? Because I don't have anything else I need to be doing. So, yeah, so look for the PDF sooner than later. Now, if you're still with me, I want to show you my quilt. Kathy, is Kathy on here? My quilters, I think you'll appreciate it. Know that this quilt is like 26 years old. It is unfinished. I was hand quilting it. That's the reason why it's not finished. In fact, it's still in the hoop. But I want to talk about the traditional log cabin pattern. Okay. So this is rather big, so I'm going to try and get as much of it in the camera as I can. And it's upside down for you right now. Do I need to go out? Hold on. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So here's my log cabin, and you can tell by the patterns in this fabric that this thing is ancient, because these are just really old. I don't think you're going to find all of these fabrics anymore. They're just way too, I don't know. They're very old. But here you're keeping up. Okay. It's the same size. So when the log cabin we just did, we started out with a 3/4 inch square, and then all the logs around it were half the width. So we went with 3/8 of an inch wide. But the way I learned it was all your logs are the same width as your hearth. So this one was the same size, or this, the same size, and then you just built your your log cabin around there. You can see it getting wider, and you can put as many logs, I guess, as you want. But yeah, so this is not done because of the hand quilting. And guess what? I'm pretty impressed with my hand quilting. Let's see if we can see it better when I turn it over. Let me find a block that isn't too bad. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I don't know if we can see my hand quilting there. It's not too bad. The stitches are not totally even, but yeah, there's a reason why this isn't done. I love hand quilting, but now more than ever, I don't have the time. And I don't have a whole lot left to do. I think I've got maybe 7 blocks that I need to do. Maybe this is something I should really try to make sure I work on. I still don't know if I'd have it finished because it's so old. But I was wanting Kathy to see this. Kathy is, oh my gosh, she makes quilts all the time. And so I thought if she was watching, she'd get it. But if you're a quilter and I just don't know that, please put it in the comments. And, you know, I can take constructive criticism. So let me know what you think about it. Should I finish it or just, you know, keep it stashed away like I've been doing for 20 some years. But that is the log cabin block, and I remembered that I still had this. I actually thought maybe I had thrown it away, but I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad that I had it stashed somewhere in the closet so that we could talk more about the traditional log cabin compared to the log cabin blocks that we did today. We're just taking, like I said, an artistic liberty and using more color in our blocks. So it's just a different variation, but we pieced it the same way. Okay, so with that, that's all that I have to share with you. Please, if you're not a member of our private group, Quilt Cards and More, please, you can get to the link through the Chirpy Card Maker page. Just answer the join questions, and I'll look through there and get you in. And that's where you're going to find that everyone shares the cards that they make from our lives, plus more, within that group. It's a very inspiring and supportive group, and it's very active. So if you like to see other ideas, we have card makers from Australia and the United States who are designing and sketching out quilt patterns, and they are generously sharing their patterns with us. So it's a really, really neat group to belong to. And that's where I'm going to go look to see what you guys are sharing from today. So if you're not a member of Quilt Cards and More, you need to be. We want you over there. So put that on your to-do list today. And happy crafting. I want to see what your log cabins look like. And look for a PDF within, I don't know, next 36 hours, maybe sooner. Okay, so everybody have a blessed day. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. Oh, thanks, Anne. Everybody's saying finish it. Sharon's like, bring it to retreat. You know what? That's a thought, Sharon. You know how I don't sit down at retreat because I'm always busy anyway. Maybe I should just bring that and finish it. So, okay, everyone. I'm going to let you go. And please share your creations with us over in the group, okay? Everybody have a blessed day.